Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be installing this Moen Bathroom Faucet. If you're interested, that's the part number. It is a spot resist brush nickel and 8 to 16 inches widespread. And the name of the faucet is Ronan. If you're interested, I'll put a link in the description of the video. In the box you get instructions as well as the warranty information. The box is well packaged and you get almost everything you need to install the faucet. You will have to buy some plumber's putty and we can talk about that later in the video. This yellow key is for the flow restrictor if you ever have to change it. By the way, this video is not sponsored or paid for. I just had to replace my faucet as it was leaking and this was the best option I found. The package also comes with a drain body. I'm not going to install this on my sink because my sink already has one installed, so I'm going to ignore that. This video is about installing the faucet. The kit does come with a quick connect hose to connect the two widespread faucets into one. These days everything comes with quick connect, not my preferred option, but that's what you get, and it does make the installation a lot easier. Also comes with a drain plug to connect to the drain body. Again, we're not going to use this today. You also get the two valves for the hot and cold. Again, most of it is brass, however the innards are plastic. Not ideal, but for the price it's not bad. You also get the hardware to connect the faucets to the countertop. And finally, what I really love is they give you this tool. It's a nut driver, and in cramped spaces this is going to be really useful, as you'll see in a few minutes. So my countertop is less than an inch thick, so I'm going to use the mounting bracket as is. So I'm going to show you how to do it before I go under the sink. So the mounting bracket goes under the sink and then the nut goes on top of that to screw it in place. And this is where the tool comes in useful. Basically use the tool to tighten the nut, and there is a hole at the bottom of the tool to put your screwdriver if you need more leverage. So let's get that installed first. This is where I was saying, unfortunately they don't give you the plumber's putty with the package, so you'll have to go buy it. It's a couple of bucks and you do need it for this installation. You don't need much, a couple of strings and that's all. Most of it will squeeze out, so there is a space in the base where you have to line up the plumber's putty. Again, don't worry about it. If you put too much on there, most of it will squeeze out. Some faucets will come with a rubber gasket, and if you get a rubber gasket then you don't need plumber's putty. However, for this faucet it is recommended and in the instructions to use plumber's putty. Just put the spout in the center hole of the countertop and make sure it's aligned and centered before you go under the sink and start tightening up the mounting bracket to the countertop. So here I'm under the sink. It's not the best video, I'm sorry to say, but you get the idea. So I'm just attaching the mounting bracket onto the stem and then use the tool provided to put the nut on the stem and just hand tighten it for now, and then I'll come back and tighten it securely once everything looks good and everything is in place. Next we're going to install the valves, and to do that we have to put these rings on first. And again, with these rings, they just put in place on top of the hole, and then the valve sits on the ring. And here's a closer look if you're interested. Again, before I go under the sink, I want to show you how to connect the valves to the countertop. There is a top plate, metal plate, that goes on first, and then there is a nut that goes after, screws on, and then there are a couple of screws also on the nut itself that you have to tighten. The valve comes with a protective plastic sleeve. We will discard that sleeve when we're ready to connect the valve. The sleeve is just there to protect it and make sure it doesn't get damaged. Again, per the instructions, you will have to use plumber's putty on the rings that go on top of the countertop. Here's a pro tip before we go under the sink. Start the screws on the tightening nut by hand before you go under. It's going to be a lot easier, and then when you're under the sink, all you'll need is a screwdriver. The instructions don't tell you to put Teflon tape to where the water line will connect to the valve. However, as best practice, I always use Teflon tape. And again, if you're going to use Teflon tape or do anything to the valve, it's best to do it now rather than when you're under the sink where you won't have much space. Sorry about the quality of the video. It's the best I can do in cramped spaces. Here I'm installing the metal plate as well as the tightening nut on the valve. And then tighten the two screws on the mounting ring with the screwdriver. Again, I'm not going to do it too tight for now. Just want to make sure everything looks good before I come back and tighten everything up. Before I put the handles on for the faucets, what I'm going to do is make sure that both the valves are in the off position, and you can just do that with your fingers. So now that once both the valves are in the off position, you can put the handles on. To secure the handle on top of the valve, all you have to do is hold the top of the handle and then turn the bottom of the handle until it's screwed on tight. And then repeat the same steps on the other side. Next we're going to install the quick connect hose. There is a centerpiece that goes onto the spout shank, and then the two ends go on the valves. The ends have a little arrow on it to tell you which way up it goes. I'm not sure if you can see it. And they also say to connect the hose in a crisscross fashion for an easier install. First we're going to connect the spout shank to the quick connect. Just press it until it clicks. And just give it a quick tug to make sure it's secure. And then before we connect the valves, just remember to take the sleeves off from both. And then, like I said before, you have to do it in a crisscross fashion. And again, you just make sure it's in the right way up and then press it until it clicks. Then do the same on the other side. And then once it's all done, just give it a quick tug, make sure everything is secure and tight. While we are under the sink, we're going to connect the water lines to the valves, hot and cold. I hand tighten first to make sure I'm not cross threading, and then I use a wrench to tighten them up a little bit more. I'm not showing you that here, but please use a wrench to make them a little bit secure and to avoid any leaks. Before we start the water again, I'm going to remove the restrictor valve in case there is some debris in the water. So I'm just going to unscrew it, turn the water on to push the restrictor valve out. Once it's unscrewed, it should pop out, and there it is. And that's what this restrictor valve looks like, and you can replace these as and when you like. If your flow looks really slow, then you may want to replace that in future. Again, the key just fits in if you want to screw it on or unscrew it. With that done, I'm going to turn the water on for about a minute, and then I'm going to put the restrictor valve back on, and then we're done. While the water was running, I did check under the sink to make sure there were no leaks. I think I've been calling this the restrictor valve. It's actually called a aerator. And now that the water has been running for a while, I can put the aerator back on again using the yellow key. And that's all there is to it. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe to the channel. Please leave a comment, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks.